A lot of people think that moving to France is the ultimate solution. Immerse yourself and the language will come naturally. Today I'm going to tell you why that's not true and what actually makes the difference. My name is Michael, founder of Step Up French. I speak 5 languages and I've worked with hundreds of international learners, many of whom lived in French-speaking countries like Switzerland, France, Belgium, and even Quebec. And here's what I noticed. Living in a French-speaking country helps, but it doesn't automatically make you fluent. I've met people who lived in Paris for 5 years and still couldn't have a real conversation. And I've met people who never set foot in France and spoke beautifully. The difference wasn't where they lived, it was what they did. Let me explain why immersion alone doesn't work. When you move to a French-speaking country, you have 2 options. You can engage with the language, talk to people, make mistakes, push yourself out of the comfort zone, or you can retreat into your English-speaking bubble. Expat friends, English-speaking colleagues, English content on your phone. Most people, without realizing it, choose the bubble. Not because they're lazy, but because it's comfortable. And the brain always takes the path of least resistance. I've seen it countless times. Highly educated, motivated expats surrounded by French every day who after 3 years still order their coffee in English. Because they could. Because no one forced them to use French. And because using French felt uncomfortable and slow. Immersion creates opportunity. It doesn't create fluency. Here's the second reason immersion doesn't work on its own. When you're immersed, you're mostly listening and reading. You understand the menu, you follow the conversation at work, you get the gist of what your French partner's family is saying at dinner. But understanding is passive. And as I've said before, passive input creates passive knowledge. You can live in France for 10 years and become an excellent listener. But if you're not actively practicing production, speaking, expressing yourself, making mistakes, and recovering, your speaking ability won't follow. Immersion without activation is just passive consumption at higher volume. And the third reason, and this one surprises people, when you live in a French-speaking country, the stakes feel higher. Every conversation is real. Every mistake is in front of a real person. Your boss, your neighbor, your in-laws. And that pressure, instead of motivating most people, actually makes them freeze more. They avoid situations where they have to speak French. They let their partner translate. They switch to English the moment they feel not comfortable. The environment becomes a source of anxiety rather than a learning opportunity. That's why structured activation practice in a safe, low-stakes environment is often more effective than just being surrounded by the language. You build the reflex first, then you take it into real life. Living in front is a fantastic opportunity, but opportunity alone doesn't create fluency. What creates fluency is what you do with that opportunity. How deliberately you practice producing French, not just consuming it. If you want to start building that reflex wherever you live, I have a free activation exercise on my website. The link is in the description. If this was useful, subscribe to my channel. I make a new video every week. See you in the next one.